The Talking Pupils. Once in the bustling city of Chang'an, there lived a young scholar named Fang Tung. He was a man of great talent, but his character was far from admirable. Known for his reckless behavior, Fang would often follow any woman he came across, speaking to them with flirtations and disrespect. One day, the day before the clear weather festival, Fang was strolling outside the city when he spotted a small, elegant carriage with red curtains and an embroidered canopy, surrounded by a group of maids on horseback. Among them was one particularly stunning young maid, riding a small horse. Intrigued, Fang moved closer to get a better look. As he peered through the open curtain, he saw a beautiful girl inside, about 16 years old, dressed in fine clothes and radiating beauty unlike anything he had ever seen. Mesmerized, Fang couldn't take his eyes off her and followed the carriage for miles, walking back and forth, first in front, then behind. After some time, the young lady called to her maid, and when the maid approached, the girl instructed, "Lower the curtain. Who is this rude man who keeps staring at me?" Angrily, the maid lowered the curtain and threw a handful of dust at Fang. As the dust hit his eyes, he rubbed them furiously, only to find that the carriage and horses had vanished. Terrified, Fang rushed home, but his eyes began to feel strange, uncomfortable, and blurry. He called a doctor, who discovered a film had formed on his pupils, and within a day, the condition worsened. The film thickened, and his eyes watered incessantly. Soon, the right pupil began to grow a spiral-like formation. Despite numerous treatments, nothing helped, and Fang was consumed with despair. He even contemplated ending his life. But then, he remembered hearing that the Guangming Sutra, a sacred text, could ease suffering. Fang decided to take the text and hired someone to teach him how to chant it. Initially, the task was tiresome and monotonous, but gradually, Fang's mind grew peaceful. Every evening, he devoted himself to chanting the sutra, his heart clearing of all distractions. A year passed, and Fang had achieved complete inner calm. One day, as he meditated, he suddenly heard a tiny voice, like the buzz of a fly, from his left eye, "It's terribly dark in here." To this, his right eye responded, "Let's go out for a little walk and brighten our spirits." Then, Fang felt a strange sensation in his nose, as though something was crawling out of his nostrils. A moment later, he felt it return. Later, the voice from his eye spoke again, "I haven't seen the garden in ages. The orchids have withered." This caught Fang's attention, as he was particularly fond of orchids and used to tend to them himself. Since losing his sight, however, he had not mentioned them. Intrigued, he asked his wife why she had allowed the orchids to die. She was astonished and asked him how he knew. Fang explained what he had heard. She went out to check, only to find that the orchids were indeed withered. Both were amazed. Curious, his wife secretly watched him, and soon she saw two tiny figures, no bigger than beans, climb down from his nose and scurry out the door. After a while, they returned and flew back to his face, like bees returning to their hive. This happened for several days. One day, Fang heard a voice from his left eye, "This winding path is not convenient. It would be better to open a door." His right eye replied, "My wall is too thick, opening a door isn't easy." "I'll try to open mine," said the left eye, "then we can both use it." At that moment, Fang felt a sharp pain in his left eye, as if something was splitting. Then, miraculously, he could see. He looked around the room and saw the tables and chairs clearly. Overjoyed, he told his wife, who checked his eye and discovered a hole in the film, through which the dark pupil of his eye could be seen clearly. It was as though a tiny crack had appeared in the surface, allowing him to see through. By the next morning, the film on his left eye had completely vanished. When examined closely, it was found that his left eye now had two pupils. The spiral on his right eye remained, but it was clear that the two pupils had merged into one eye. Although he was still blind in one eye, the sight in his remaining eye was now better than the vision he had with both eyes before. From that moment on, Fang became a changed man. He lived a life of virtue, disciplined and respectful. His transformation was so profound that the people in his town came to regard him as a man of high moral character. The story behind the tale. This story is from Strange Tales from a Chinese Studio, a collection of supernatural tales written by Qing dynasty author Pu Songling. In The Talking Pupils, Fang Tung, a charming yet reckless young man, faces the consequences of his immoral actions. After a period of reflection and devotion, he is miraculously rewarded with the restoration of his sight, now even better than before. It serves as a powerful reminder that self-discipline, respect for others, and maintaining good morals are crucial for personal growth and happiness. The story warns us against selfishness and reckless behavior, showing that redemption is possible when we truly seek self-improvement.